Look, Grammy performances are cool or whatever, but when it's a hip hop act on that stage, the energy just hits different. Rappers don't just perform, they create moments that stick with you. Some are wild, some are unexpected, and some absolutely legendary. So today we're breaking down the top 10 male hip hop Grammy performances, starting with Kendrick Lamar in 2016. If we're talking Grammy performances that shook the room, Kendrick Lamar's 2016 set is top tier, no debate. The man came out in literal prison chains, surrounded by dancers in inmate uniforms, and just set the stage on fire, literally and metaphorically, and then he flipped it. All of a sudden, it's African tribal dances, blazing fire pits, and black and white face paint. Bro was preaching, performing, and protesting all at once. He opened with The Blacker the Berry and then transitioned into All Right, which had basically become the unofficial anthem for Black Lives Matter by that point. The crowd didn't even know how to react. At first, they were silent, then shocked. You could feel the tension and respect all at once. This wasn't just another rapper spitting bars. Kendrick turned the Grammys into a political stage. What really made it crazy was how he balanced raw messaging with artistry. His flow didn't slip for a second. The dancers, the fire, and the sound. Everything was coordinated but still felt alive. Honestly, this performance made people take hip-hop more seriously. Now, if Kendrick was the future roaring onto the stage, Nas was the past walking in like, yeah, I built this. Number 2. Nas, 2022. It was wild to think that 2022 was Nas' first ever solo Grammy performance. Like, after all those years, all those classics, this was the first time. But one thing he did? He made it count. No gimmicks, no explosions, just orchestras, smooth lighting, and that voice. The man stepped up like royalty and gave us a medley that reminded everybody what real rap sounds like. He started with I Can softly playing in the background, like a subtle reminder of his legacy, then launched into Made You Look, and the flow was still razor sharp. From there, it was One Mic, which always hits deep, and then into Rare, which showed he still got that modern edge too. It was polished but soulful, clean but full of weight, and the way he handled the stage, effortless, like he wasn't trying to prove anything, just reminding everyone that grown man rap still has a place at the table. After years of being underrated by the industry, this felt like a coronation, like the Grammys finally went, okay, yeah, Nas, you're him. And speaking of performances that felt bigger than the music, number 3. Kendrick Lamar, U2, and Dave Chappelle, 2018. Kendrick was back on the Grammy stage, and this time he came through like a man on a mission, with U2 backing him up and Dave Chappelle dropping in like a comedic sniper. From the moment it started, you knew it wasn't going to be a regular performance. The stage opened with soldiers marching in formation, Kendrick rapping in front of an American flag, and this intense, almost military energy in the air. And then, bang! Literal gunshot sound effects cut through the music, the lights went red, and Kendrick just kept spitting like he was unfazed. Then out of nowhere, Chappelle pops up on a dark stage with this perfect deadpan line. The only thing more frightening than watching a black man be honest in America is being an honest black man in America. Ugh, chills. After that, Kendrick launched into DNA with that signature fury. You know, the one where he raps like he's chasing the beat down and beating it up at the same time? The transitions were smooth but jarring in the best way. U2 came in with those background vocals, adding calm to all the chaos. And just like his 2016 performance, it wasn't just about rap. It was theater. It was satire. It was political. But it never felt preachy. Kendrick walked that tightrope between art and message like it was nothing. But if Kendrick turned the Grammys into a war zone, the one that flipped it into a cathedral. Number 4. Jay-Z, DJ Khaled, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, John Legend, and Friday, 2023. So after Kendrick turned the Grammys into an artistic battlefield, Hove said, "Cool story, now watch me turn it into the Last Supper." And that's exactly what this was. The 2013 performance of God Did wasn't just a song, it was a whole scene. Khaled had the full squad out, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, Friday, John Legend, and of course Jay-Z himself, sitting at the end of this massive banquet table, calmly delivering a 4-minute verse like he was giving a sermon from heaven. And here's what made it hit. The production didn't try to do too much. No fire, no lasers, just long takes, dim lighting, gospel vocals, and bars. So many bars. Jay didn't even stand up. Man was sitting down, eating grapes, and rapping like he had nothing left to prove. Because honestly, he doesn't. His verse was basically a flex and a memoir in one. He was talking billionaire moves, black excellence, loyalty, and legacy, while Legend and Friday added that Sunday service vibe underneath. And the camera didn't cut away once. They just let Hove talk, like we were in church and he was the pastor and choir all in one. It wasn't loud, but it was powerful. One of those moments where you realize, wait, this is the same dude from Reasonable Doubt, and now he's closing the Grammys like royalty? Legendary stuff. And while Jay reminded us of where hip-hop can go, the next performance reminded people what hip-hop can stand for, even if it stirred up a little drama along the way. Number 5. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, 2014, Same Love, featuring Queen Latifah and Madonna. Now this one? It had the Grammys trending for all the right and wrong reasons. So picture this. It's 2014. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis are riding the insane wave of thrift shop success. But for the Grammys, they didn't go with a radio banger. They went with Same Love, a pro-LGBTQ plus anthem that, at the time, wasn't something you typically heard in hip-hop, or honestly, even on that stage. The performance started off emotional, just Macklemore and Mary Lambert with raw vocals and honest lyrics. Then suddenly, Queen Latifah steps out and starts officiating a mass wedding. Literally, 33 couples, gay and straight, all getting married live during the show. Wild, right? And as if that wasn't enough, Madonna rolls in singing Open Your Heart like it's a full-on Broadway finale. Now here's the thing, while some people were moved to tears, others were tight. The backlash was real. Folks were like, why is Macklemore the one delivering this message? Where are the queer artists? Where are the black voices? And honestly, those are valid questions. It opened up a whole conversation about representation in hip-hop and in the Grammys themselves. But even if the execution was messy or performative to some, you can't deny it shook the room. It got people talking. It put LGBTQ plus issues front and center on a stage that usually just plays it safe. And in a weird way, that controversy made the performance even more memorable. Next up, a performance that wasn't controversial, but just chaotic in the best way. Number 6, Tyler the Creator, 2020. Okay, so you know how some Grammy performances feel like fancy karaoke with a budget? Yeah, Tyler wasn't having any of that. His 2020 set was straight up theatrical chaos. Like some mad genius broke into the Grammys, took over the production team, and said, "We're doing this my way." He kicked it off with Earthquake, standing next to Charlie Wilson and Boyz II Men. At first, it was smooth harmonies, pastel suit, and very polite. But that was just Tyler luring everyone into a false sense of calm. Because the second he slid into New Magic Wand, all hell broke loose. The screen turned blood red, the camera started shaking like we were in a horror movie, and Tyler, dressed like a stressed out Hellboy, and started screaming his lyrics in the middle of a fake burning neighborhood. It looked like the suburbs were literally on fire. And the wildest part? It somehow didn't feel random. There was purpose in the chaos. Like he was breaking out of the weird rapper box people kept putting him in and just burning it to the ground. And when the performance ended, he fell backwards into a pit of smoke and just vanished. Poof, gone. Just like that. And speaking of unforgettable moments, up next is the night Dr. Dre reminded everyone why he's still the doctor. Number 7, Dr. Dre Tribute 2023 with Missy, Busta Rhymes, Scarface, and Lil Wayne. So picture this, the Grammys were doing their usual let's celebrate an icon thing, but this time they gave it to Dr. Dre, the man behind more classic hip-hop moments than most artists have hit songs. This wasn't just a tribute, it was basically a thank you note in live music form, and Dre didn't even rap in it. He just sat back and let a lineup of absolute legends do what they do best. It kicked off with Missy Elliott, who honestly I could make a whole other list about, and then moved into Busta Rhymes, who came out spitting some of the fastest bars ever. Then came Scarface, looking serious as ever, dropping soul into the mic. Lil Wayne followed up with a reminder that he's still got that punch-in-the-face flow when he wants to. And all of it was backed by this rich cinematic production. Think live band, booming drums, tight transitions, and just this intentionality behind every bar. Every artist brought their own energy, but it all felt connected, like a Sonic family reunion thrown by Dre himself. What made this hit different was the respect in the room. These weren't new kids trying to prove something. These were legends giving flowers to the man who helped shape the sound of modern hip-hop. You could feel the love. Even the crowd, which is usually half asleep during tributes, was on their feet like they were at a summer festival in 2001. Now from one OG to another, let's take it back to a performance that had everyone screaming. Number 8, Kanye West, 2015, Only One in 4-5 Seconds featuring Rihanna and Paul McCartney. Alright, so 2015 was a wild year for Kanye. He was juggling the unpredictable Kanye energy we all know and love, but the Grammys gave us a quieter, more heartfelt performance that surprised everyone. Kanye opened with Only One, this tender tribute to his late mother, sung through the voice of his daughter. The stage was minimalist, just Kanye, a piano, and a soft spotlight. No crazy choreography, no wild theatrics, just raw emotion. You could tell he was really there, connecting to something personal. Then things got interesting when Rihanna and Paul McCartney joined him for 4-5 seconds. Rihanna's vocals with McCartney on acoustic guitar and Kanye just vibing in the background made the vibe more like a soulful jam session than a typical hip-hop show. What made this stand out was the contrast. Kanye's usual over-the-top style switched for a stripped-down, almost vulnerable moment. It showed a different side of him, the artist not just spitting bars, but telling a story of family, loss, and reconciliation. This performance reminded everyone that hip-hop isn't always about swagger and hype. Sometimes it's about heart. And speaking of swagger, number 9, Drake, 2019. This performance was basically a live party packed into a music award show. Drake opened with God's Plan, but it wasn't just him on stage. He brought a whole squad of dancers, flashing lights, and that iconic music video vibe where he's handing out money and good vibes. Then he switched gears into Nice for What, which was a certified club banger. The beat hit hard, the dancers popped off, and Drake's flow was tight and effortless. The visuals were bright, colorful, and packed with nods to New Orleans culture. A shout out to Big Freedia and bounce music. It was a celebration of women, life, and living large. What made this performance stand out wasn't just the production, it was how effortlessly Drake commanded the stage. He looked like he was having a blast, not like he was just ticking off a box. Also, this was one of those moments where hip hop was front and center on the biggest stage, and everyone was vibing. Now, the question is, who's left to close out the top 10? Well, it's a legend we already talked about earlier, Jay-Z. Alright, so earlier we started with Jay-Z in 2023, but his 2018 performance? That's a whole different vibe, and honestly, one of the most powerful Grammy moments of the decade. Jay came out solo with no flashy entourage, just him and a giant screen projecting animated visuals inspired by his song The Story of OJ. The imagery was striking with all the caricature, symbolic art, and a storyline that tackled race, money, and identity in America. Then he flowed into 444, a deeply personal track where Jay opened up about mistakes, growth, and legacy. The crowd was so silent you could hear a pin drop. What's crazy is that even after decades at the top, Jay-Z still manages to reinvent himself on stage and make you feel every word. That night, he wasn't just the king of New York or the billionaire mogul, he was an artist holding up a mirror to the culture. And that's our top 10 male hip-hop Grammy performances from 2010 to 2025. These moments changed the game and showed why hip-hop rules the stage. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which performance was your favorite or which one I missed. Let's talk!